Viewers advised.
Hey everyone, welcome to a no run-through review for Aeons and Legacy. The reason why it is a no run-through review is because we hated it. It was garbage. Just complete gutter trash. No, is mainly because I just have a lot of series on the channel, and to me, I felt like it wasn't like that compelling of a campaign to do a series for. Like, yeah, we made some changes and we upgraded characters, but ultimately I figured we would have just gotten it done quicker.
You missed some really good jokes.
Yeah, there were some pretty good jokes, but overall, let's talk about the Aeons and Legacy. So Legacy is a concept that has been done quite a bit lately. Whenever Pandemic Legacy came out, everyone was like, "Oh, we got to do that. That's the next big thing." Surprisingly, not really. Like, Pandemic Legacy Season 1 and 2, I think, are one of the few that have done it really well. But that Legacy idea where you destroy cards, put stickers, write on, permanently change it, I don't think it's taken off as much as everyone thought. So, this was the first Aeons game that actually had a campaign to it, and you actually made changes. What did you guys think? And spoilers, by the way, potential spoilers. We're probably going to talk about the story and the changes and what happened. So, what did you guys think of the campaign?
I mean, been there, done that story-wise, you know? I mean, yeah. Yeah,
I personally felt it was kind of weak.
Mm-hmm.
Not kind of weak. It was actually pretty weak
overall
as a story. They pretty much did it as exactly as you thought they would have.
Yeah,
like
I mean, you said at one point, you're like, this is basically just 7 games of Aeons and
which is unfortunate because campaigns for me have to be like a compelling story where it's going somewhere, it's storytelling. This one, and like Near and Far did the same thing where it was like, here's your campaign, but it's really just
multiple
it's the same game, you know, you just, hey, 10 games and that's a campaign. No, it's not. Like, you just made me play 10 games.
Just call it story mode and move on.
Yeah.
Don't disguise it as something
as like
different.
some advanced like thing.
Yeah, just come out with an expansion that has like a book with it.
Yeah,
I
I mean,
play these games.
So if you're expecting some compelling story, no, you're playing
a fairly generic story.
Yeah, it's not bad. I mean, it's just unfortunate because unless they have something else like outside of the game, you don't know anything about the world. You know that there's a town called Gravehold that you protect as mages, and that's what it started as. That's what War Eternal continued as. And then you have this Legacy game. So whenever they're naming people, you're like, oh, these are just names. Like, I only knew some of them because I happened to play them in regular Aeons games. So I knew who Brahma was, I knew who Mist was because I've played as them.
Yeah.
I knew who Zaxos was, and I actually knew he was evil because there's a second Zaxos that you can play as in War Eternal. You can play as this guy. So I, like... Spoilers, I mean, yeah, we're going to get there. But I was like, okay, this story is like, oh yeah, fuck. Well, now it's like, so you start off obviously as weak mages.
We're apprentices.
You're apprentices. You have nothing except you can do spark and you have crystals to power up to slowly make things better. But all the cards that you buy are very generic and. Like, at the beginning, I actually was like, I was kind of hopeful. I was like, oh man, we get to use these extra cards, you know, to have, like, they're going to help us and it's going to be riveting that way. But, I mean, it kind of wasn't.
Teamwork really didn't play a factor until, like, the 3rd chapter.
Yeah.
Chapter 1 and 2 were kind of, one's obviously the intro.
Yeah, it was a throwaway game just to kind of get you involved. But the story was just bleh.
And our working together in Chapter 2 was just hitting the hell out of the Nemesis.
Yeah, which, I mean, like I said, is Aeon's End. And yeah, once you get to Chapter 3, that's when things you kind of start changing. You finally get to put stuff on your character sheet and your card. but I don't know. Like, I'm not disappointed by the game.
No.
Because every game was tense.
Yeah.
Until it just wasn't.
It did have a very weak.
Get to that.
Had a very weak story, but like mechanically, we always felt pressure.
Right.
Like it felt.
So
We never lost, but I mean, it felt like we were going to lose several times.
There were many times where we were close to losing. I will say it's don't take this game's lack of not really lack of a story as like a weakness. Like the games that they put in is still traditional Aeon's End, which you've never played. We have. I've played regular Aeon's End and
mechanically this game is awesome.
It's the exact same.
It's
so like
very tight.
Yeah, you somehow you feel like you're getting your ass kicked the entire time, but you always feel like you're still doing something and that you always have a chance. And there were multiple times where it was like, okay, one of us needs to go now, otherwise we are screwed. That happened multiple times. So they still did a really, really good job at making those 8 games traditional Aeon's End. And, well, the legacy thing, some of it was neat. Most of the time I really didn't care. But at the end, I will say, even though the story was weak, the legacy parts were unnecessary. I will say I very much loved my character by the end. Like, I loved who I had built. And how we personally did it, and I only loved my character because none of us argued over how we wanted to play. Like, we weren't like, no, I want to be the damage dealer, I want that ability. So we didn't run it into any of that. We built an actual team, which is a weakness of Aeon's End in general, where it's like no one really, we're never really like working together. Like, we never really interact with one another. However, we still feel like a team. So how we built it was Kat was our Gravehold support. She stacked
Just
to...
call me the protector.
Yeah, she was literally... God, if you will. We had Kat be all about crystals, never cast spells, pretty much,
yeah.
and heal Gravehold. That was her whole thing. Josh was all about breaches and dealing damage through almost unorthodox means.
Yeah.
You were also, you were main support, you were secondary support, so you were kind of a little bit of both, and also kind of the defender for us. Like, oh, hey, a player takes damage, you're like, okay, I'll take the damage.
Yeah.
Or I'll discard the cards, which might seem like, oh, I'm just cannon fodder, but you taking that's what makes Aeon's End great, is you taking that means I'm not doing it, which means I'm more effective, which means Kat's more effective. So you always want someone to do that. And then the way I built my character was just straight up DPS. Like, just utilizing as much damage as possible, and just killing the minions. So what I love about Aeon's End is that everything you do is helpful. Like, oh, I'm just going to kill that minion. Great, that means someone else doesn't have to. So therefore, if you killed a minion that was 3 damage, you're like, it's just 1 minion. Great, that means I don't have to waste a 6 damage card on it. Like, I can now attack the nemesis directly. Or you healing Gravehold, or silencing a minion means someone else doesn't have to. So there's such a balance to this game that I felt that the legacy part did matter.
To a degree.
By the end of it, I think. It wasn't, I would say it wasn't really until Game 7 and 8 that...
Yeah, Game 7 was awesome, but then the last one is like, oh my god, we have to kill this guy.
Yeah. Yeah, who was... Oh, the one before Game 7, the one before...
Was the brain guy?
It was the brain guy. And he fucked... Yeah, he was fucking weird, and, we were still kind of I'm dealing a lot of damage, but we're still, really tense. For some reason, I think actually the story was kind of it was okay, this is tough, this is tough, this is tough, boom, this is fucking easy.
Yeah, yeah.
The last 2 bosses, and we're not going to go into too specifics of spoilers, but the last 2 bosses, I was like, man, I really hope the Nemesis goes a lot more. Personally, I was feeling man, because the way I built my character and the way we had our supply cards, by the time like maybe the middle of the game, I'm just like, all right, I'm gonna cast all these and do 20 damage.
I think it really had to do with just how we built the team, and then because I think they were planning on more like
jack of all trades, maybe.
as each character.
Yeah.
And
I don't think that's the way you should do it at all.
Oh, that'd be dumb.
Yeah.
In my opinion. Now, theoretically, it sounds nice. Oh, we can all heal.
Yeah.
Gravehold.
Well, we can all do
We
damage.
can. Yeah, it's
Because
like.
Just pegging them like, oh, thanks.
Yeah, I have noticed that in regular Aeons end games, you usually have like someone has like a role to play.
Right.
Because if you're all like trying to get the same cards, okay, you take one of these, and then I'll take one as well, and you take one.
Yeah, they're way spread thin.
Then it's just like.
Because I think we did that one game where like someone was taking gems, and I was like, I don't have any, and I can't get anything.
So towards the last game, we definitely were like,
this is our role.
Yeah.
Do it, and we were just very efficient.
Yeah.
So
like the last game, every wild, you're like, can I go?
Seth, just go.
It's like, Seth, just take 2 turns. It's fine.
We need to.
You're doing so much damage. Please take another
please.
turn.
Yeah.
It wasn't even like because at one turn I would do a bunch of damage, and then the next wild or something I'd be like, well, I can't do damage this turn, but if I go a second time, that means I'm going to get to my damage cards quicker because I'm funneling through my deck quicker.
And we're like, just do it.
Just do it.
And pretty much how it felt like, because it did come up really fast where it was like hard, and then it's like, oh shit, well, yeah, we're gonna kill him. Because like I got up to P, I think, came back, and you were like, all right, yeah, he's down to 30 damage, and I was like, he was just at 80.
Yeah. So.
Just came out of nowhere, which is, I mean,
crazy.
Which is almost weird because you expect Aeon's End to be difficult to the very end, and it typically is in any regular game. But I think they kind of lost steam. Like, because in all honesty, the last 2 bosses should have been our most difficult, and they weren't.
Yeah, you would think.
Our most difficult one, I think, was Chapter 5.
Chapter 5 was pretty rough.
4 and 5 were like the 2
Yeah.
hardest, but that's because they both added new mechanics to the game.
Yeah.
And then 6 was awful because it's like, oh, this guy makes bridges between cards.
Between the cards, so we have to like buy a certain way to get to them. Yeah, like I don't know.
I feel like if this guy was earlier on, he would have been a lot harder.
Oh,
Right.
Yeah.
But like by this time, we have all the supply cards that we want, and we debated a long time on the last supply upgrade.
Yeah. So yeah, that's a good segue into like the legacy. I guess it's not really the legacy part, but the campaign part.
Yeah.
Because over the course of the campaign, you get upgrade supply card, which you only get to pick 2, and they typically give you 4 to choose from. So, what did you guys think of actually the upgrade cards?
I mean, I normally didn't care.
I think it truly depended on how each person like builds their character, because the way that we built it, we were like, this benefits Kat's ability.
Yeah.
This benefits how I built my character.
I was just like, all right, we've picked the crystal one, good, and then just like you guys handle it.
Yeah, I agree.
But I think it's really, really important because I think half of our success is how we built our team and then how we picked our cards.
How we picked
Seth is really, really good at doing that. Josh has experience with deck building. So you guys are both really, really good at critically thinking, like, how's this going to help us?
I really like how they limited you to 2.
Yes.
It'd be really dumb if you could just pick, all 4 of these can go in?
Yeah.
Like, then it'd be really
I also liked how it limited the amount of each type.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's like, you always have to have 2 of these.
Yeah.
You have to have at least 1 relic. You have to have at least 3 spells.
Yeah.
That prevents you from totally screwing yourself over on accident.
Right. Because I forgot it was initially in the last upgrade, I was like, oh, okay, we can just add this and that and have 4 relics, 3 gems, and then 2 spells, but then you have to have at least 3. So we were like, crap, which one do we get rid of?
Yeah.
Because at the end, I was like, well, I don't want to fight for gems if we're trying to get me these powerful spells, but that relic helps you so much. I mean, ultimately, we went for the spell, and it just took me probably about 4 or 5 turns for me of just boosting up the gems.
Generating enough gems to be able to buy it.
Yeah. which it ended up working.
Yes.
Do you think? Yeah. So I really like that it limited you to 2, and yeah, like you said, so you do have choice. I will say in how you build. They gave you a lot of abilities to choose from that we and a lot of syncopation with those abilities. It wasn't just like random stuff. Like if you were going for damage over time in the chapters, you had more damage abilities.
That stacked.
Some of them, one of the ones that we never went for was healing players. We went for healing Gravehold, and there were times where we were like, we should have picked the healing one.
But by chapter 7, we're like, we had it down to a formula.
Yeah, and I'm really glad they added spells that did that. Like, there were always some spells that, like, okay, well, if you didn't pick the healing abilities, then you're just going to be punished the rest of the game. Mm-hmm. You had ways to compensate for it. There were some in there that I thought were a really unique way of playing that none of us went for, but the one that was, like, destroyed, like, you thin your deck, and each time you destroy a card, you deal damage that way. I thought that was an interesting one, because then you get rid of your crappy crystals and sparks, so you're dealing damage by making yourself more efficient, which is all about deck building anyway. Josh, real quick about the deck building, because you haven't played Aeon's End before. I believe you've played deck builders with me before. Mm-hmm. What do you think about this take on deck building, where you buy cards, they go in a certain order. When you discard cards, you choose the order they go in, and when you have to reshuffle, you don't reshuffle, you flip.
I like it and hate it at the same time, because it adds a layer of strategy to it. Mm-hmm. You're like, I need to do it this way, so it stacks this way for my next time I flip my essentially my discard into my deck.
Yep.
At the same time, there are situations where I don't care for it, because it's just not necessary.
Yeah. So my favorite part about that is this was actually the first deck building game I actually liked, because I used to hate deck building because of the main reason is, okay, I'm going to spend these cards to buy that card, it's going to go straight in my discard pile, then I'm going to shuffle my deck and it's at the bottom. Great, I bought it and I don't get to use it. At least whenever you're stacking, you're going to be like, okay, so I want to organize these this way, so whenever my deck flips, I'll get the card
sooner,
and you could potentially make combos that way. Almost every time I've played Aeon's End, I usually have a really powerful hand, then a crappy hand, and a powerful hand, and a crappy hand. So that's why, versus just, every single hand is mediocre, and I never get to use the card that I specifically wanted. So, I was just curious to your thoughts on this take on deck building.
I do like it. We did play another deck builder.
Marvel Legendary.
That's what it was. I liked this more than that.
Yeah.
And I liked that game.
Yeah.
I do like I liked the fact that they were allowing us to upgrade piles, because I knew nothing of like legacy games other than it has a campaign to it. I didn't know about upgrades or
typically riding on cards, tearing up cards, and the campaign with stickers and stuff like that.
So helping evolve how the game can be played as you go is a big thing for me.
Yeah.
I'm a fairly, I imagine if anybody's seen me on here, I reference Magic the Gathering a lot. I'm a big fan of it, and the meta for formats evolves as cards come out, so
yeah,
I like evolution.
I will say on top of that is that if you're worried about, a lot of people are worried about legacy games because it's like, oh, I'm spending all this money and I never get to play it again. That's been the case for like 3 legacy games, Pandemic, and there were a few that we actually rip up cards. For this one, in case you guys were wondering, you can play this once you're done with the campaign. The reason why I got this was because I was like, oh, I love Aeon's End, and I get to make my own Breach Mage. That's really cool. So I was like, and you get to use this later on in just a regular Aeon's End game. That's going to be awesome. However, I don't know how. I need to read more of the end game stuff, but I don't know how this is going to transition because no one has equipment in Aeon's End.
Right.
Yeah.
Everyone has their ability, but it's just one ability. They don't get like 2 or anything like that. So I don't know if these guys are gonna be too OP.
Or limited in some way or restricted.
Yeah, I want to say that there's something about this. I don't even know if I'll continue using these guys, which is a shame because I want to use them, but I don't want the game to be. I don't want to face a boss in regular Aeons and just annihilate him. Yeah.
Can we talk about the stickers?
Yeah, let's talk about the stickers.
Fucking God.
Get your shit together.
They suck. The stickers suck.
They are aesthetically displeasing.
They are.
They give me anxiety looking at it. They don't fit.
Yeah, they don't flow that well. They don't fit that well. At least you can write on them.
That is true. Yes.
I had to overlap.
Yeah.
So much.
I hate that. I just hate it.
Yeah. So and some of them didn't fit. We're just. I mean, like, whenever you put this top sticker on, like, I had to cut the edges because it didn't.
Yeah. And it like
fit.
it covers up part of my little thing right here, and then it just ends. It's just I don't like that. I don't like that. I know that's just such a stupid thing to bitch about, but it's
like stickers are already annoying anyway. Whenever you have to put them on, so it's like just let them work. I do like the fact that you get to name all your stuff.
Yes,
like
that
your
was fun.
equipment and abilities. Like all mine were rhymed.
Yeah.
So my equipment name was Double Trouble.
Yeah.
And then Blammo Whammo. But my ability name was Fasta Blasta.
Mine were all serious. I had Static Volley, Silent Night, and Oreo Spirits.
Yeah, so you get the fun aspect of this game. You can be as creative as you want. Like I said, unfortunately, the story is really weak. However, it's one of those games that you should just play just to have just to have more content. Like I now have more Aeons and stuff. Like all those supply cards. Here are the randomizers for everything. In case you guys if you're curious, like, and some of these were, you can definitely, looking back on it, like I'm looking at like one of the abilities. Oh, Bending Beam, deal 2 damage. If this spell was cast from an open 3 breach, deal 3 additional damage. Neat! But like, then you get the stuff like later on.
You get to the stuff like, breach.
Oh, look, deal 7 damage. Any ally may destroy a card in hand if they do gain 2 life.
Yeah, it's just like, you get way busted later.
Yeah. And some of the fun of Aeon's End is the combination of cards. We had one that it was a level 5 relic and a level 4 spell, and it gave you the pulse tokens, Gave you pulse tokens, and the spell, you spent those 2 pulse tokens to deal 3 more damage. And it's like just having these, especially if you have them at the same time, is like, oh, let's prep, and then boom. But I will say at the same time, when you're starting off, you don't feel unique, which is kind of lame. So it's not until, like you said, maybe 4 or 5 games in that you're like, okay, this is who I am.
Yeah, definitely by chapter 5, we had established roles.
Yeah.
Which I guess
almost halfway through.
Makes sense because we were just students.
Yeah.
Like we were just thrust into greatness.
Like thematically, it makes a lot of sense. We're really weak because we're fresh newbies or whatever,
but
starting
is
out.
that fun?
It's not fun.
Yeah. Especially when you're thinking, oh, this is a campaign game. Like so it's 5 games in. I mean, what, each game maybe lasts an hour and a half.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Something like that.
I mean, you shouldn't have to wait half the game to be like, all right, cool.
I finally figured. And especially, here's the other problem: if you halfway through the campaign, if you don't know what you want to do, then halfway you realize you messed up. You're like, great. I guess my character sucks, and I'm not really helpful.
And like, there's a sudden increase in difficulty from chapter 3 to chapter 4.
Yep.
Yes.
It spikes dramatically. Like, chapter 3's a little harder than chapter 2, and then chapter 4 is like, oh my god, what has happened?
Welcome to hell, bitches.
Actually, now that you say that, there were some pacing issues with the campaign. So, I mean, it was, like you said, from 3 to 4, it was like an increase in difficulty. Then from 6 to 7, it was like, wow, this is a fucking joke.
Mm-hmm.
So, what you want to feel a sense of accomplishment. Whenever we beat the final boss, I was like, alright, that was that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, I wasn't like, I wasn't like, yes! I was just like, yeah, alright. Yeah.
Look at Gravehold.
Yeah, fucking push over.
I did my job.
Yeah, by the 8th fight, like, your ability with the thing of making your ability cost less, you're constantly, here's 7 points to Gravehold. Alright, so as long as it doesn't hit 0, we don't lose.
Yeah, so you like the only way we really could have lost by the way we built was if all of us died.
Mm-hmm.
Or it got exhausted, sorry. So you don't ever really die.
We did come close the first 3 or 4 games to losing. Like, we were under 10 a few times.
Yeah, I mean, but, so I will say, yeah, most of the games were balanced. But yeah, definitely towards the end, it's insane. What do you guys think of the Evolve deck? That's really the legacy part, more or less, is this Evolve.
I really think that's super cool.
Yeah. I like the Evolve deck a lot.
Just having little creatures, and then if you allow them to evolve, they become these disgusting monstrosities.
Yeah. I liked a lot of it, because that's where a lot of the story came from. Like, you learn more of the story from these, from the Evolve deck, because what it is like, some of them were like, oh, immediately read this card. And there was like more info on that specific creature, or like, one of the ones was like, it was a parasite that was digging underneath Gravehold. And over time it was just siphoning off of Gravehold, and then eventually just became bigger and bigger, which I thought was really cool. A lot of the stories are just quick snippets, just to give you a little bit of flair, a little bit of flavor text. But I really liked how some of the Nemesis cards focus, like, hey, if this goes off, the player has to write, write his name on it, so that's gonna just target that person the entire time.
Yeah, me taking all of those hits to be like a tank almost ended up kind of biting me in the ass in a couple of chapters.
That is true.
It killed me in one.
Killed you in one.
Killed me.
Me being the DPS fucking killed me.
In the last chapter.
In the last one, it was just like, that's 10 damage. Like, I was like, oh my god!
You guys pretty much protected me.
And you protected Gravehold. Yay, we did it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. So, with that in mind, like we said, we never lost a game.
I mean, not to brag.
A few we came close to. I think I was told that this holds all the other Aeons and stuff. I'm gonna have to see if that's true. I don't know if it does. I guess I'm gonna find out. With all that said, what would you rate this game on a scale of 1 to 10?
Damn, I actually don't know.
If I would break it into categories, it'd be a little easier as an overall. Because honestly, by chapter 7, I had kind of not cared about most of the campaign anymore.
Oh yeah. No, I was playing it because I just wanted to play Aeon's End. Like, I wasn't playing this to figure out what was the next thing.
And
what's happening with Mist and Brahma back at the old hangout?
I stopped caring about the storyline. I cared more about how we had to fight the next boss.
Yeah, I will say I was always excited to see who the next nemesis was.
It was, yeah.
What makes Aeon's End great is the nemesis and how each nemesis feels different. Which holds true. So that's another good thing, is like, it never felt repetitive.
No.
Like, you were never like, wow, this is pretty... Boss 6 is the same as Boss 2.
Yeah.
Even the spoiler, even Maelstrom from both times.
Yeah, 1 and 6. No. 1 and 7.
It was different. And I guess there's a slight twist. Which wasn't a twist, it was so expected.
Yeah.
It was so on the nose. You saw it coming from game 1.
Yeah.
I thought it was really cool that the second time we fought Maelstrom, he had a thing where he would bring previous nemesis back as minions.
Yeah, if you didn't beat him.
Yeah.
So, actually, I will say, they did do one thing storytelling right. From game 1 against Maelstrom, and this is definitely story spoilers, from game 1 against Maelstrom, you were like, wow, we fucking suck. Like, Brahma and Mist, like, and the chick that died.
Malstar.
Yeah, we're like, thank God they were there. Then, Maelstrom shows up again, and you do truly see how much you have grown.
That, but also Maelstrom is slightly weakened.
I think he was only 99 because it was meant to feel like impossible.
To show the immensity.
Yeah,
of him.
so like I think 65 was probably scaled to us. So I will say that they did do a good storytelling part in that, because it was like, man, we are like Brahma and Mist now. We are Breach Mages
That they
at
didn't
this
have
point.
to step in.
Yeah. In fact, Brahma and Mist, like, they're like, we're here to help. Fucking just kill
Get
him.
away!
Yeah. You are inferior to us now. I'm over there just like, ah.
Yeah, we killed them.
Yeah, we kill Brahma. We're
Where
evil.
is the breach? Like, what?
So yeah, I did forget about that, because I did like the second part of Maelstrom where I was like, man, we are just kicking its ass, like they did in the first one. So, if I were to give this a rating, like you said, breaking it up, story I'd give it like a 5, because it was an average story.
Of 10.
Yeah, the 10.
Yeah.
A 5 out of 10. It's an average story.
Mm-hmm.
But Aeon's End, the gameplay, the powers, if everyone in the game can decide how they want to play and no one argues and you don't mess up, Aeon's End is just so great.
Mm-hmm.
It's so great. Like, I was doing my top 100, Aeon's End is number 11. Like, I love Aeon's End. So, I think at a 5 story, but a 9 gameplay, because like I said, each nemesis felt different. Some I liked more than others. Some they tried something new and it didn't really work for me. The brain guy, he was different. I was like, whatever. But the mushroom spore guy, I really liked.
Oh yeah,
I thought he was
they
cool.
were super cool, nameless.
Yeah. So I think it's gonna hit an 8 for me. And then, because I think gameplay wise plays the same, always feels tense. I think I'm gonna give it a 9 for gameplay, 5 for story. So I think I guess I would technically average out to what, a 7, but I'll give it an 8. 8 out of 10 for Aeon's End Legacy.
I think just as a legacy game as a whole, everything factored in, I will give it a 7.
A 7?
Yep.
I will say though, it actually might get a little bit of brownie points just for the fact that you get to use all this stuff later.
That's always nice.
Like, you're not like, all right, well, let's just let's come up with some ending where we either burn it or shoot it with a shotgun.
We definitely throw this into the sky and shoot it with a flaming net.
Story wise, I give it an average rating of 5 of 10, or whatever, whoever wants to rate it 2.5 out of 5 stars.
I do my rating's out of 10.
I usually do it out of 10 also.
8.
5 doesn't give it like enough
room.
Gameplay was super top notch. It's definitely a 9 for gameplay. Replayability, I don't know much about legacy games, since I'm new to board gaming in general.
Yeah.
But as a standalone board game with replayability, that is a 9 for me also. I'll give it an 8.5.
Okay.
8.5.
I am interested to see how, like, let's say we played Maelstrom and we actually used Maelstrom with not our built characters, but with the characters that they created.
Yeah.
I'm curious to see how they hold up. To see if it's like, okay, well here's Maelstrom and his thing, and we demolished him. Like, or it's like, wow, this is just unbalanced.
I would say do Maelstrom from the first chapter with 99 health, but with possibly the seventh chapter's deck.
You cannot do the first Maelstrom or Haste Fiend outside of the campaign.
Well, then
they were specific story related ones.
Then do chapter 7 with 99 health Maelstrom. I feel like
they have advanced difficulty, but I really do think that it's because of our abilities that second Maelstrom was easier.
It's essentially a pushover.
Yeah, so I think with your just regular, just one ability, nothing added, I think he would be challenging at 65.
He's just floating up in the sky like, I was really counting on you guys being less
Ha! I am back, and who are you?
Where'd you get that boot from?
Yeah, so 8.5, 8, 7. Yeah, I mean, I would definitely say give this a play, especially if you love Aeon's End, play it. But this isn't going to be something that it's not revolutionary. It's not. It's literally for me. It was just I wanted more Aeon's End content, and I got it. So it was fun. Like I never like for some series like there are times where it's like okay let's just get this over. Pandemic Legacy.
Oh my God.
There's always that middle point where it's like man, let's just do it.
Let's just play 5 games in a row.
Let's just get through it. Some series I've done, it's like yeah, I just want this to be over, or I don't even want to continue, so we're just gonna do the discussion now and just call it. This one I was like, oh man, I want to keep playing. But I'm glad it's over. Like I just want to go back to regular Aeon's End.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was ready for it to be over by game 6, just because it wasn't the story just wasn't compelling, and that was it. Yeah, story I was just like, okay.
Another quick question. Do you guys like how your characters turned out?
I mean, yeah, it's never exciting to be the support character, but I did feel like I was really helping because if we didn't have me, fuck us.
For sure. Oh yeah,
like,
actually, yeah, for sure. Like if we didn't have you, there were times where it's like, oh, and Gravehold's at 15.
Yeah. So I mean, I was very useful. So yes,
because there's not a lot of.
And then
there's not a lot of ways to heal Gravehold, and if there is, you have to do it through other means. So it's like, crap, quick, someone buy those cards.
Yeah. So as a healer, I feel very effective.
I liked how my support character turned out. I wish I would have done a little more damage, but like the unorthodox way of like dealing damage from focusing breaches, and then the ability to have both of you draw extra cards, and then I can. If whoever needs charges, usually you, I could give you 2 extra charges to heal, or I could give you 2 charges to double your damage.
Yeah. So, I will say, I loved how my character turned out, just because I was doing like, okay, I finally got all these, I don't need to stack all these spells, and, okay, there's 25 damage. But it took time to build up. But I will say, like I said, you and I probably had the most syncopation because you were able to focus my breaches really quick, and the damage you were doing was just enough to deal with some of the minions.
Oh yeah.
That it was like, great. Kill them so I don't have to do it, so I can do something else. Because if I had to waste, oh hey, here's a 8 damage card on a 5, I'm like, okay, well, now that just means the Nameless is alive longer, means they're doing more, so it like, I just need to peg him for more damage. And then you and I didn't have to try and keep Gravehold alive, or like or try to just okay, well crap, Gravehold's dying and we can't really stop it. So, yeah, I'm very happy with the way all of our characters turned out. So, that's pretty much it. That's all I can think of for this game. So let us know what you think of Aeon's End Legacy in the comments below. Other than that, like, comment, share, and subscribe, and have a wonderful whatever time of day it is for you. Hey everyone, thanks so much for watching this, and if you like this video, then click the subscribe button below to enjoy any video that I put out. And right next to that subscribe button is a little bell. Click that so you get notified of whenever I actually upload these videos. If you want to support the channel, you can definitely visit my Patreon page. The link is in the description below. Other than that, like, comment, share, and subscribe, and have a wonderful whatever time of day it is for you.